this is going to be making a huge lifestyle change. And if you've been eating meat for 20, 30 years now, it could possibly take you a little more time to reach to a point where you're like, I'm comfortable with this new lifestyle. But just like anything, it's change and you have to get adjusted. So just take time with yourself, continue to educate yourself, and stay open to eating new foods and trying new things. Welcome, it's your girl TheSageMonroe, back with another YouTube video. And today's video is going to be on why you should go vegetarian in the year 2022. About 5 years ago, nobody was vegetarian, and now everyone is. Let's talk about why people are making the change to go vegetarian and making a decision to not only do it as a diet, but make it a lifestyle choice. In this video, I'll not only be telling you why you should go vegetarian in the year 2022 and years following, but also how to make the transition. Without the correct knowledge, you may fall right back into eating meat. So this is how my journey went and a lot of things that I learned along the way. Before we really even jump into any of the specifics, let's get an understanding of what vegan and vegetarian are and what the difference between them are. So vegetarianism is when you don't eat animals at all. You don't eat animals, but you can have things that come from animals like eggs and milk and cheese and, dairy products. You can have things that come from animals. You can even eat like a chicken broth because it's not technically the chicken or whatever, but you can't directly consume the animal. Veganism is different because not only can you not eat the animal, but you cannot eat anything that comes from an animal, not even honey, because honey is technically created by bees. So if you're vegan, you're not eating anything that comes from an animal. And if you're vegetarian, you don't eat the animal, but you consume things that come from the animal. Another question that I get all the time is, well, can you still have fish? No, fish is actually considered a meat. Now, some people consider it a seafood, but pescatarianism is actually when you can eat fish and have things that come from animals, but you don't eat any land animals. 2022 is the best time to go vegetarian or vegan because the options are way more what looks like limitless than they were even 5-10 years ago. 10 years ago, if you were going vegan, okay, I get it. You would have had access to way less options. In the day and age that we're living in now, people have a lot of soy-based and non-soy-based options. And there are also a lot of different restaurants, depending on where you live, that may have vegetarian options on the menu. Now that a lot of content creators have been getting into pushing the narrative of vegetarianism and veganism, there are hundreds of thousands of vegetarian and vegan recipes that are online and that you have full access to at all times. I've been on my vegetarianism journey for 5 years now, and I started in the year 2015. I know the math doesn't add up, but I started because I wanted to do it as a means of maintaining my weight. And back then I was only like 99 pounds. So I don't know. I knew if I cut meat out of my diet, then I could stay within a weight range. So I made that choice. And like a year after, I fell back into eating meat. In about 2017, 2018, when I decided to go back vegetarian, I did it really because I'm a humanitarian by heart, and I actually felt bad about eating animals. Now, I know that that's not a deal breaker for a lot of people. I didn't want to contribute directly towards the genocide and the rape of animals, and I'm not bashing anyone who is at this point eating meat. This is just something that I learned along my journey that made me want to make the transition. Another factor that made me want to go vegetarian was the fact that the government has their hands in the making and the processing of the meat a lot. So about the time it gets to your table, a lot of hands have touched it, a lot of different antibiotics, chemicals, to the point where it's like we don't even know if it is real at this point. And don't get me wrong, a lot of people say the same thing when it comes to vegetables and fruits and whatnot, but there's an easier way to tell what's organic and what's real between fruits and vegetables than it is between meats. A lot of people don't know that the leading cause, you're in the video, I can see you in the camera. A lot of people don't know that the leading cause in global warming is actually animal agriculture. So when you're eating meat, when we're eating meat, we're directly contributing to global warming, which is crazy. I mean, some people don't believe it exists. That's a whole different conversation. Mostly the reason why I decided to make the transition was because lifestyle changed. I didn't want to continue hurting my body and the things that I felt like were happening to my body when I was consuming meat. If all else fails, do it for yourself. Going vegetarian or vegan will tremendously change your quality of life, because you won't be intaking a substance that could have negative effects on your cognitive ability, physical mobility, and etc. When I went vegetarian about 6 months in, I could really see how all the different effects were taking place on my body. Number one, I didn't gain a pound at all, and it kept me at a very consistent weight. I wasn't consuming twice as much eating meat, so my weight wasn't steadily fluctuating. Actually, exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to maintain. So going vegetarian without working out, it helped me maintain my weight. It also made me feel more clean on the inside. I felt less clouded afterward, and I didn't usually have the same issue where you get the itis, where your whole body and mind gets all groggy after eating, because now your body is so focused on breaking down that food than it is on cognitive function, and that is something that a lot of people see nowadays. So I found myself actually taking in the nutrients that I actually needed instead of wanting to eat for taste. In the average American diet, we are always eating for taste, and we're not really eating for nutrients. And this has a huge effect on our bodies in a lot of different ways. Doesn't mean that we're not human, and this is why they're creating a lot of different vegan and vegetarian alternatives for people who do like chicken, do like meat, and I eat them on a constant basis. I just made vegetarian gumbo the other day. So there is a lot of different ways in which you can put different meals together that work for you and are still very tasty, but have the main objective of eating attached, which is nutrients. I recommend watching documentaries, going online and reading different articles about how meat actually affects your body and what is all meat comprised of. You might see a piece of meat and you're just like, that is just chicken, but the chicken has hormones in it as well. It has a lot of other different ingredients that we might not have been aware of. So definitely educate yourself. Being educated, because there's so much information. This video will be way too long. It's going to be a journey. You're going to continue to learn as you go along, but educating yourself is a surefire way that you will say, I know better now to do better, so you won't be as likely to fall back into the same habits that you may have had before. Like I said in the beginning of the video, I've been vegetarian for 5 years now, and I don't have any deficiencies. I am very healthy. I don't have a protein deficiency. That's usually the first thing that people ask, well, where do you get your protein from? So I get my protein from legumes, beans, nuts, even grains, quinoa, spinach. I get my protein from the same place that your protein gets its protein from. Most of the animals that humans consume are vegetarian. Just imagine if we could get the protein directly from the source instead of taking it from a protein, because at that point it's already getting broken down to a certain level instead of being directly consumed by us through plants. Just to list a few names of people who are either vegan or vegetarian that you might know are Mike Tyson, Waka Flocka, Erykah Badu, Ariana Grande, Tom Brady, and Brad Pitt. So I know all those people are famous, but it doesn't mean that you have to be rich to be vegetarian. A lot of people assume that being vegetarian or vegan is going to cost more money. What a lot of people may not understand about meat is that it's actually a delicacy, and it's one of the most expensive things that you can buy, not an apple or quinoa. Being vegetarian is actually going to save you some money, and it's going to get you to be more creative in the kitchen. One of our first points that I feel like is very crucial in starting this journey is that to know that it's okay to go at your own pace. Don't try to go cold turkey. I remember when everyone was first finding out about Dr. Sebi, and everybody was like, I'm going alkaline vegan tomorrow, and I'm just sitting over there vegetarian. Like, it's not what you think. Like, you know, you don't want to do that to yourself, because your body is used to eating meat. Your body is used to taking in probably more sugars and a lot of different stuff. So going cold turkey is going to feel like a punishment on your body instead of a conclusive healing experience over time. So I recommend, say for instance you're eating all of the meats right now, start with taking pork out first. We all know that pork is probably one of the worst meats that we can eat, and that's mainly because the animal itself is not very clean internally, and there's no temperature in which you can cook pork to actually kill the parasites living inside of it. And this is how humans develop parasites within their intestinal tract. If you're eating pork, then I do recommend that you start with taking that out of your diet first and foremost. And then next, beef. Beef is going to be the second most thing that you want to remove out of your diet. It's going to be one of the more heavier substances on your stomach. Did you know a steak takes about a year? And you can Google this for references for yourself. I recommend you Google everything that I'm saying. It takes a year for a steak to digest fully throughout the human's digestional tract. If you haven't heard this before, our intestines can be up to 15 to 20 feet long. They're in our bodies like a zigzag line stacked on top of each other, and that is within the same rhythm that the food has to move out. So our bodies are made to break down foods that aren't as heavy and aren't as tough on our intestinal tract. After you remove beef, I do recommend that you remove chicken. So a lot of people think that chicken is actually better than beef, but they're pretty much equally not good for you. Especially chicken, mostly because how much the government has had their hands in the production of it. Humans have actually begun building up penicillin resistance because of how much penicillin and antibiotics have been pumped into our meat, because the meat is living in unsustainable conditions. Just take it one step at a time. Don't force yourself to be perfect on the journey, because you're not going to be. And even if you slip up, it doesn't mean that it's impossible for you. Take your time with yourself. This is TheSageMonroe signing off. I really appreciate you guys for watching this video. If you all have any other points that you wanted to add, please don't hesitate to drop those in the comments. And drop down in the comment what made you even come to this video. Like, what's making you want to try this journey? Is it health? Is it just you wanting a new lifestyle change? Is it you heard from a friend of a friend? And just let me know down in the comments. And if this video made you want to take another step into or to going vegetarian, please hit the like button and do not forget to subscribe. And I'll definitely see you guys back in my next YouTube video. Thank you. Peace.